All right, looks like we are live, right? Yep. Okay. Now where's the Pymanders? I know that I can make this full screenier, but I'm just so tech illiterate, even in this day and age, that I don't know what to push to make it like, you know. Anyways, so we have been going through the Corpus Hermeticum book by book, and I feel like it's been a pretty amazing, insightful series, and I'm going to continue to do it, even though it's actually the least well-received thing I think I've ever done in terms of like the like to view ratio and stuff. I don't get it. I thought that this was kind of a peak for the channel. But regardless, we're going to push through, and I'm going to finish it, all 20 books or whatever it is. It's a bunch of books. So, yeah, I mean, basically the thing is that we are at a crossroads, and Hermes has a reputation for appearing at crossroads. This is what the Christians based their image of the devil upon. The horned angel that is a god of music and magic, like Lucifer, that you meet at the crossroads and make a deal with, and all of the idea of secrecy, that there's secret satanic cabals running the earth. There's not. There's secret hermetic cabals. And they're not really cabals, I mean, there's a lot of different secret societies, and there's a lot of things going on in the world, so it's difficult to generalize. But overall, that's the story. That's what's been happening with all of this, the real source of all these ridiculous conspiracy theories and demonization of real knowledge, and replacing it with this brain-draining, slave-engendering bullshit that we know as religion. So the fifth book of the Corpus Hermeticum, that God is not manifest and yet most manifest. This it is and it is not. One of the things that helps to kind of understand and process and digest this kind of stuff, I think, is that statements like it is and it is not seem obviously really counterintuitive, but really when you get down to brass tacks, they're the absolute truth. And the closer you get to the core of the substance of truth, the more things and ideas express those core truths. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but it's like when you're really close to a mirror, you get a really clear reflection, right? And you can see the reflection really clear from really close to it. It's kind of a similar thing. And so this idea that God is not, you can call, I need a miracle, help me out, like fill my bank account magically with money, make my cancer disappear. Some people would argue that happens sometimes, but it's just as plausible to say that it's just spontaneous remission, because that happens to atheists also, So the idea is that this God is not here. There is no God where I am. And yet, when you look at the complexity of the human eyeball, and the human brain, and then all these other systems in the universe and how interconnected they are, and then also how there's this somehow a pattern underlying everything and that is the same. And that pattern, that algorithm, is complete, whether it's in a tiny, tiny system or a very, very large system, belying the holographic nature of the universe. And so, but long story short, we have this evidence of some sort of program, some sort of underlying code. And so it's like, the God is not there and yet everywhere at the same time. Sorry, there's a dog outside that has been barking for like 5 hours and it doesn't stop for 10 seconds. And I'm really, like, if I had a rifle, I probably would put that dog in a forever box at this point. Like, it's really getting old. Okay, so this discourse I will also make to thee, O Thoth, that thou mayest not be ignorant of the more excellent name of God. But do thou contemplate in thy mind how that which to many seems hidden and unmanifest maybe most manifest to thee. For it were not all if it were apparent. For whatsoever is apparent is generated or made. For it was made manifest, but that which is not manifest is ever. For it needeth not to be manifested, for it is always. And he maketh all other things manifest, being unmanifest, as being always. And making other things manifest, he is not made manifest. This is a really clumsy way, I think, of talking about the fact that the laws of the universe apply to everything equally. There are no exceptions, and these exceptions would not even apply to what we think of as God. Right? If it was manifest, it would be temporal, period, end of story. The only eternal thing that is unchanging, there are two that I can think of offhand, and we're not certain about one of them. But absolute nothingness is sort of the core essence of this God in this model, that it's absolute nothingness, because as soon as there is a stain or a line or a sound or anything other than absolute nothingness, that is the rebellion against God, right? This eternal perfection that wants not, moves not, changeth not. And so anything sent forth from it that does all those things is temporal. It's conditional. It's part of the devil's bargain. And if you want to be in 2D, you're temporary. And so, yeah, at its fundamental core, it's just this absolute nothingness. Himself is not, the other thing is light. Sorry, I knew I missed something. The other thing is light. Photon is believed to be eternal, but it may not be. The minimum lifespan is believed to be 1 billion years, but the thing is, at the speed of light, there is no time. Therefore, there can be no change. There's not going to be any resolution. There's not going to be any denigration of this thing due to time, because there isn't any time that could possibly affect it. And so that's really interesting, because we have a lot of correlations from different systems that correlate light and this intelligence of creation. Himself is not made, yet in fantasy he fantasieth all things, or in appearance he maketh them appear. For appearance is only of those things that are generated or made, for appearance is nothing but generation. But he that is one, that is not made nor generated, is also unapparent and unmanifest. But making all things appear, he appeareth in all and by all, but especially he is manifested to or in those things wherein himself listeth. Thou therefore, O Thoth, my son, pray first to the Lord and Father, and to the alone, and to the one, and from whom is one to be merciful to thee, that thou mayest know and understand so great a God, and that he would shine one of his beams upon thee in thy understanding. For only the understanding see that which is not manifest or apparent, or being itself not manifest or apparent. And if thou canst, O Thoth, it will appear to the eye of the mind. Probably a reference to the pineal gland. For the Lord, void of envy, appeareth through the whole world. Thou mayest see the intelligence, and take it into thy hands, and contemplate the image of God. But if that which is in thee be not known or apparent unto thee, how shall he in thee be seen, and appear into thee by thy eyes? But if thou will see him, consider and understand the sun, consider the course of the moon, consider the order of the stars. And this is all super, super important. And it's one of the reasons that Hermeticism was demonized, and that the horns of Hermes were transferred to Satan and the other attributes, because what is being said is that we see the eternal God dispersed throughout all of its creation, that if you pick up a handful of sand and watch it fall through your fingers, you are staring into the face of God. However, it's not just the sand. It's the sand falling through your fingers, that the motions that, this thing that I was referencing earlier, this allegory of the algorithm that underlies everything, like Fibonacci, or that if you're scaled down so small relative to the nucleus of an atom as you are to the Earth now, there'll be about the same distance between where you're standing and the nearest proton as there is from you to the moon, and from you to the nearest electron as there is from you to the sun. Even the nature of proton and electron are reflections of these macro expressions of this thing, right? So that's what he was saying is, like, if you will see him, if you will see God, consider and understand the sun, consider the course of the moon, the order of the stars. Who is it that keepeth order? For all order is circumscribed or terminated in number and place. The sun is the greatest of the gods in heaven, to whom all of the heavenly gods give place, as to a king and potentate. And yet he, being such an one, greater than the earth and or the sea, is content to suffer infinite lesser stars to walk and move above himself. Whom doth he fear, the while, O sun? Every one of these stars that are in heaven do not make the like or an equal course. Who is it that hath prescribed unto everyone that the manner and the greatness of their course? This bear that turns round about its own self and carries round the whole world with her, who possessed and made such an instrument? Who hath set the bounds to the sea? Who hath established the earth? For there is somebody, O Thoth, that is the maker and lord of these things. For it is impossible, O son, that either place or number or measure should be observed without a maker. For no order can be made by disorder or disproportion. I would it were possible for thee, O my son, to have wings and to fly into the air, and being taken up in the midst between heaven and earth, to see the stability of the earth, the fluidness of the sea, the courses of the rivers, the largeness of the air, and the sharpness and swiftness of the fire, the motion of the stars, and the spindiness of the heaven, by which it goeth round about all these. O son, what a happy sight it were at one instant to see all of these, that which is immovable moved, and that which is hidden appear and be manifest. And if thou wilt see and behold this workman, even by mortal things that are upon earth and in the deep, consider, O my son, how man is made and framed in the womb, and examine diligently the skill and cunning of the workman, and learned who it was that wrought and fashioned the beautiful and divine shape of man, who circumscribed and marked out his eyes, who bored his nostrils and ears, who opened his mouth, who stretched out and tied together his sinews, who channeled the veins, who hardened and made strong the bones, who clothed the flesh within skin, who divided the fingers and joints, who flattened and made broad the soles of the feet, who digged the pores, who stretched out the spleen, who made the heart like a pyramis. A pyramis. There's a question mark there. Let's check on this and see if this is a typo or if no one knows, what does that question mark mean? Pyramis group. What is the meaning of pyramis? A huge masonry constructed that has a square base, and in the case of Egyptian royal tombs, 4 sloping triangular sides. So it's a pyramid? I don't understand. Let's see what else. Yeah, I guess so. It's a pyramid. Yeah. All right. Well, interesting. Who made the liver? Wait a minute. Let's think about that for a second. So the pyramid is the most stable, sharp shape, and that's why the symbol of the Illuminati, supposedly, it's not really the Illuminati, but whoever, the overlords, with the all-seeing eye, you build your civilization based on that geometry, because it's the most stable. And so one of the implications there is that those things that are led by the heart are those things that have substance and permanence, I would say. Who made the liver broad? Who made the lights spongy? The fuck are the lights? And full of holes. That must be lungs. Who made the belly large and capacious? Who set out to outward view the more honorable parts and hide the filthy ones? Okay, so I do have something I can weigh in here. I think I understand what he's getting at. Blind random evolution, I talked about this a little bit last night, does not do it for me. And I don't think it should do it for anyone. I'm not saying that blind random mutations are not part of nature. But Lamarck was clearly at least possibly right. Nature knows that something is looking. There's no question about that. That there are visual cues and olfactory cues, and these things are by design. And so there is something inherent in nature that has the capacity to participate in the development of designs. And my theory about this always has been that God is not this eternal intelligence that's ruling over everything and consciously making decisions and choosing prophets and all of this kind of stupid shit, the fairy tale God, but an intelligence that's developing as a consequence of the complexification of matter in the universe, right? So he's just pointing out, look at the complexity, look at the, obvious truth here. Clearly, there is something hidden and constrained within nature. And then you might ask, well, then why doesn't it do stuff to prove that it's there? Liberal atheists love to ask that question all the time, and it's because they're ignorant. They don't understand that if this being were to overturn with but the force of a feather on any of these laws, the whole universe would come undone. So, yeah, and the next line, I think, is, oh, great blindness and ignorance. You know what I mean? So the reason that it is crystallized in this thing, the intelligence is formatted, baked into the schematics, the wiring under the board, because it's constrained by its own laws in terms of its behavior. Let me check in with the chat, too, and make sure that my audio is cool and everything. What book is this? This is the 5th book of the Corpus Hermeticum. Is this public or private? There's just no one there. Incredible. Oh, man. All right, so, yeah, let's continue. See how many arts in one matter, and how many works in one superscription, and all exceedingly beautiful, and all done in measure, and yet all differing. Who hath made all these things? What mother, what father, save only God that is not manifest, that made all things by his own will? And no man says that a statue or an image is made without a carver or a painter. And was this workmanship made without a workman? O great blindness, O great impiety, O great ignorance. Never, O son Thoth, canst thou deprive the workmanship of the workman. Rather, it is the best name of all the names of God to call him the Father of all, so he is not alone. So he is alone, And this is the work to be the Father. This is his work to be the Father. And if thou wilt force me to say anything more boldly, it is his essence to be pregnant, or great with all things, and to make them. And as without a maker it is impossible that anything should be made, so it is said that he should not always be, and always be making all things in heaven, in the air, in the earth, in the deep, in the whole world, and in every part of the whole, that is or that is not. For there is nothing in the whole world that is not himself, both the things that are and the things that are not. For the things that are, he hath made manifest, and the things that are not, he hath hid in himself. This is God that is better than any name. This is he that is secret. This is he that is most manifest. This is he that is to be seen by the mind. This is he that is visible to the eye. This is he that hath no body, and this is he that hath many bodies. Rather, there is nothing of any body which is not he. For he alone is all things. And for this cause he hath many names, because he is the one Father, and therefore he hath no name, because he is the Father of all. Who therefore can bless thee, or give thanks for thee, or to thee? Which way shall I look when I praise thee? Upward, downward, outward, inward? For about thee there is no manner nor place, nor anything else of all things that are. Whoa. Man, now I've lost my spot again. But all things are in thee, all things from thee. Thou givest all things, and takest nothing. For thou hast all things, and there is nothing thou hast not. When shall I praise thee, O Father? For it is neither possible to comprehend thy hour nor thy time. For what shall I praise thee? For what thou hast made, or for what thou hast not made? For those things thou hast manifested, or for those things that thou hast hidden? Wherefore shall I praise thee as being of myself, or having anything of my own, or rather being another's? For thou art what I am, thou art what I do, thou art what I say. Thou art all things, and there is nothing else thou art not. Thou art thou, all that is male, and all that is made, and all that is not made. The mind that understandeth, the Father that maketh and frameth, the good that worketh, the good that doeth all things. Of the matter, the most subtle and slender is air. Of the air, the soul. Of the soul, the mind. And of the mind, God. The end of the 5th book. Okay, so that was a rather brief point. A lot of this stuff, I'm going to go through every bit of it just because that's the commitment that I made, but the really religious sounding crap I would just cut out and throw away, really. I mean, I have no... But there's, the thing is, it's sprinkled throughout all of these metaphysical nuggets and stuff that are of value. And I would suggest that our task in the modern day is to separate the wheat from the chaff even further. The people that put this stuff together had a lot more pressure on them to watch what they said. And so I think that a lot of the characterizing of these things is influenced by that, that pressure. But if you pay attention, the underlying theme is panpsychism, that we are that Father that he's referencing. He said, you are my speech, my deeds, everything. So, it's like this God has given over its dignity, its integrity, its substance, its will to man, not the other way around, as many people think. And when you say, I give my will to God, you're giving it to nothing, because it doesn't work that way. That intelligence that has lent its presence to develop and guide the universe is neutral in that sense. It has to be because of the necessity of good and evil. So there's really no will of God to conform to. There's just our fundamental nature to discover and then act in alignment with. God, O Asclepius, is in nothing but in God alone. That's a complete contradiction of the entire last book. Or rather, God himself is the good always. And if it be so, then must he be an essence or substance, void of all motion and generation, but nothing is void or empty of him. All of these things are true and false, and it is both true and false to say that they are true and false. And this essence hath about or in himself a stable and firm operation, wanting nothing, most full and giving abundantly. One thing is the beginning of all things, for it giveth all things. And when I name the good, I mean that which is altogether and always good. This is present to none but God alone, for he wanteth nothing that he should desire to have it, nor can anything be taken from him. The loss whereof may grieve him. The sorrow is a part of evilness. Nothing is stronger than he, that he should be opposed by it, nor nothing equal to him, that he should be in love with it. Nothing unheard of to be angry, with nothing wiser to be envious at. And none of these being in his essence, what remains but only the good? For as in this, being such an essence, there is none of the evils, so in none of the other things shall the good be found. For in all other things are all those other things, as well in the small as the great, as well as in the particulars as in this living creature, this greatest and mightiest of all. For all things that are made or generated are full of passion, generation itself being a passion, and where passion is, there is not the good. Where the good is, there is no passion. Where it is day, it is not night. Where it is night, it is not day. Of course, I would have to object to the idea that where there is passion, there is no good. This, again, influence of the Judeo-Christian religions and just generally aestheticism, I guess. Complete bullshit that any kind of passion is indicative of some tarnish, of our soul. I don't abide with that shit one bit. Wherefore it is impossible that in generation should be the good, but only in that which is not generated or made. Yet as the participation of all things is in the matter bound, so also of that which is good. After this manner is the world good, as it maketh all things, and in the part of making or doing it is good, but in all other things not good. For it is passible and movable, and the maker of passible things. In man also the good is ordered, or taketh denomination, in comparison of that which is evil. For that which is not very evil is here good, and that which is here called good is the least particle or proportion of evil. It is impossible, therefore, that the good should be here pure from evil, or here that the good groweth evil, and growing evil it doth not still abide good, and not abiding good it becomes evil. Therefore, in God alone is the good, or rather God is the good. I don't know who the hell wrote this book. These are all different authors, and this one's a bit ridiculous. Therefore, O Asclepius, there is nothing in men or among men but the name of good. The thing itself is not for it is impossible, for a material body receiveth or comprehendeth, is not as being on every side encompassed and coarcted with evils and labors and griefs and desires and wrath and deceit and foolish opinions. And in that which is the worst of all, Asclepius, every one of the forenamed things is here believed to be the greatest good, especially that supreme mischief, that pleasures of the belly, and the ringleader of all evils. Error, it is here the absence of the good. And I give thanks unto God that concerning the knowledge of good, put this assurance in my mind, that it is impossible it should be in the world. For the world is the fullness of evilness, but God is the fullness of good, or good of God. For the eminences of all appearing beauty are in the essence pure and more sincere, and peradventure they are also essences of it. For we must be bold to say, Asclepius, that the essence of God, if he have an essence, is, I don't know what that word is in Greek. Shall we check? I believe we can. Oh, wait. Was that right there? Translate to English? Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Unites the bride and groom's families and friends. I think that's probably a clue at least. Asclepius, the essence of God, if you have an essence, is to bind or to unite. Yep, we got it. All right. That which is fair or beautiful, but no good is comprehended in this world, for all things that are subject to the eye are idols, and as it were, shadows. But those things that are not subject to the eye are ever especially the essence of the fair and the good. And as the eye cannot see God, so neither the fair and the good. For these are the parts of God that partake the nature of the whole, proper and familiar unto him alone, inseparable, most lovely, whereof either God is enamored, or they are enamored of God. If thou canst understand God, thou shalt understand the fair and the good, which is most shining and enlightening, and the most enlightened by God. For that beauty is above comparison, and the good is inimitable as God himself. As therefore thou understandest God, so understand the fair and the good, for these are incommunicable to any other living creatures, because they are inseparable from God. This just doesn't sound, that's not even a coherent statement. If thou seek concerning God, thou seekest or askest also of the fair, for there is one way which leadeth to the same thing, and that is piety with knowledge. Fair. Wherefore they that are ignorant, and go not in the way of piety, dare call men fair and good, never seeing so much as in a dream what good is. But being enfolded and wrapped up all evil, and believing that the evil is the good, they by that means use both it insatiably, and are afraid to be deprived of it. And therefore they strive by all possible means that they may not only have it, but also increase it. Such, O Asclepius, are the good and fair things of men, which we can neither love nor hate, for this is the hardest thing of all, that we have need of them and cannot live without them. The end of the 6th book. Now, on that last bit, there was a whole lot of gobbledygook, and a whole lot of stuff that I don't really agree with at all. But that last bit about how men confuse good for evil, there was a study done in the 1970s. Shall we pull it up? Let's go ahead and pull it up. Are normal people evil? Social psychologists, let's see, found that people can be persuaded to commit evil. No. This is not what I was looking for. Pete Singer. I think this is the one. Anyways, if I can't find this particular study, maybe I'll find it and post it in the Patreon or something. But basically, yeah, here we go. Ordinary people are evil. Anyways, the gist of it is, and I think that was the original author, Peter Singer, if you guys want to watch that video later or whatever, but basically he concluded that what we consider normal is actually evil, that people's tendency to turn a blind eye to the horrors of the world and their level, the degree to which we think self-preservation is ethical, and on, that things that we have accepted as normal are normal only relative to how fucking evil our culture is. And, there's an idea in most religions, really, and certainly in Hermeticism, and explicitly stated in some of the secret Masonic books. I'm sorry, you guys, I have so much static electricity in my hair right now for some reason that it's kind of driving me crazy. Look at that. I have no idea why. Ever since we moved up here into the Andes, it's been like that. But that there's like a baseline morality, that's generated by logic, and it's really a mathematical conclusion, that is generated by other standards of natural law and nature's conduct and whatnot. And that our society has created blind spots in regards to the architecture of the universe that allow us to maintain these evils as normal, and that is actually that originates with the overlords, because they have to maintain a certain type of perception in the minds and hearts and beings of the common person in order to continue their exploitation. So that's what's up, and that's what awakening really is. That's what, illumination is really about, to discover these things and to realize exactly the farce that's been perpetrated on humanity. And we really are, I think, at the curtain closing, a fitting feast of abject insanity, the dark curtain before the last calamity. Yeah, you guys know what I mean. The end of the 6th book. All right, well, let's continue. We've only been going for half an hour. And you guys, you just got to kind of be patient with this old hermetic stuff, because the first couple of books were extraordinary. The last 2 I could have done without. There was an important point, at least one, in each of them. But, it's not all going to be amazing. However, there are definitely things like the Lament of Asclepius and the first couple of books. And I don't really know, because it's been many, many years since I've looked at this stuff. The 7th book, The Secret Sermon in the Mount of Regeneration and the Profession of Silence, to his son Thoth. Check in with the chat real quick again. Alive to Thrive. Munching on some psilocybin for this one. Nice. Yeah, like I said, guys, just be forewarned. It's going to go up and down in terms of, how mind-blowing this is. But it will hit high peaks, and you will feel them. So please hit the like button, share, subscribe. Consider supporting us via one of the options in the chat, or by becoming a patron. You get access to a whole biggity bunch of stiggity stuff. To his son Thoth, in the general speeches, O Father, discoursing of the divinity, thou speakest enigmatically, and didst not clearly reveal thyself, saying that no man can be saved before regeneration. Ah, yes, now we're getting into some interesting ideas again. And when I did humbly entreat thee at the going up to the mountain, after thou hadst discoursed to me, having a great desire to learn this argument of regeneration, because among all the rest I am ignorant only of this. Thou toldest me, thou wouldest impart it to me, bitch, when I would estrange myself from the world, whereupon I made myself ready, and have vindicated the understanding that is in me from the deceit of the world. I know that feeling. Relatable. Now then, fulfill my defect, and as thou saidst, instruct me of regeneration, either by word or mouth or secretly. For I know not, O Trismegistus, of what substance or what seed or what womb a man is thus born. And what's interesting here is it looks like, because Thoth is Thoth, or taught, or thought even. Thought, the mind. I would think that Thoth would be the father of Hermes, not the other way around, but this seems to be casting it as if Trismegistus is the father of Thoth. It's odd. O son, this wisdom is to be understood in silence, and the seed is the true good. Thoth, who soweth it, O father, for I am utterly ignorant and doubtful. Hermes, the will of God, O son, and what manner of man is he that is thus born? For in this point I am clean deprived of the essence that understandeth me. The Son of God will be another. God made the universe, that in everything consisteth of all powers. Thou tellest me a riddle, Father, and dost not speak as a father to a son. Son, things of this kind are not taught, but are by God, when he pleaseth, brought to remembrance. Brought to remembrance. Thou speakest of things strained or far-fetched and impossible, Father, and therefore I will directly contradict them. Wilt thou prove a stranger, son, to thy father's kind? Do not envy me, Father, or pardon me. I am thy natural son. discourse unto me the manner of regeneration. Part of what is being suggested here is that because we are a little piece of the algorithm, this fractal algorithm, that the knowledge of all things exists within us in some way, shape, or form, and that we have the capacity to remember, really the totality of information. And I was actually kind of getting into this with ChatGPT the other day, and talking about how, what I pointed out is we have galaxies that are built on Fibonacci, and then we have much smaller things that also, and then, we also can see Fibonacci in charts for cryptocurrency and stock markets. And so it seems that this underlying algorithmic pattern would also apply to time periods, and indeed we see repetitions in historicity that reflect very specific patterns. Kennedy's psychedelics, civil unrest, war, 1960s right now. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. So the idea is that if the universe is entirely fractal, as soon as the subconscious pattern recognition system latches on to even a small part of the pattern, it's all it needs to have the whole thing. And then once that happens, you're pretty much on a course where it's a step backward for every 2 steps forward, because it replicates by reflection, goes back, copies, replicate by reflection, copies, kind of aggravating, but it's the way that it had to be built. And so, this idea of regeneration is also the regeneration of the knowledge of how we got here in the first place, and what I mean, regenerating that memory. And I just told you how it, the algorithm, that's the fractal algorithm. That's how it be done. No. What shall I say, O my son? I have nothing to say more than this, that I see in myself an unstrained sight or spectacle made by the mercy of God, and I am gone out of myself into an immortal body, and am not now what I was before, but was begotten in mind. This thing is not taught, nor is it to be seen in this formed element, for which the first compounded form was neglected by me, and that I am now separated from it. For I have both the touch and the measure of it, yet I am now estranged from them. Thou seest, O son, with thine eyes, but thou never look so steadfastly upon me with the body and bodily sight. Thou canst not see nor understand what I am now. Thou hast driven me, O Father, into no small fury and distraction of mind, for I do not now see myself. I would, O son, that thou also wert gone out of thyself like them that dream in their sleep. Then tell me this, who is the author and maker of regeneration? The child of God, one man by the will of God. Now, O Father, thou hast put me to silence forever, and all my former thoughts have quite left and forsaken me. For I see the greatness and shape of things here below, and nothing but falsehood in them all. And since this mortal form is daily changed and turned by time into increase or diminution, as being falsehood, what therefore is true, O Trismegistus? That, O my son, which is not troubled, nor bounded, nor colored, not figured, not changed, that which is naked, high, comprehensible only of itself, unalterable and unbodily. The 2 answers there again are nothing and light. Now I am mad indeed, O Father, for when I thought me to have been made a wise man by thee, with these thoughts thou hast quite dulled all my senses. Yet it is so as I say, O son, he that looketh only upon that which is carried upward as fire, that which is carried downward as earth, that which is moist as water, and that which bloweth or is subject to blast as air, how can he sensibly understand that there is neither hard, nor moist, nor tangible, nor perspicuous, seeing it is only understood in power and operation? But I beseech and pray to the mind, which alone can understand the generation which is in God. Now that is fucking crazy. If my interpretation of this is correct, he's saying that it's not the wood and the dirt and, the water. It is that which operates behind all of these things that like energy isn't a substance. We were talking about this last night, I think. Energy is not a substance. It's the ability to do work. It is some mysterious force that acts upon the universe through unknown means and mechanisms. We know that it's electromagnetic, but that's just a label that we've put on it. We don't really know what the substance is, if there even is a substance. It's more of a function in a specific point in the field, So that seems to be what he was getting at. And also when he says, I beseech and pray to the mind, which alone can understand the generation which is in God, that is a deep and powerful secret that comes off as, not so obvious maybe. That because of the field and the nature of its connectivity to the rest of the universe, it is through the mind that we have our connection to the electromagnetic field and the ability to exert influence via our will. And so that is the hint he's providing there. Then am I, O Father, utterly unable to do it. Hermes says, God forbid, Son, rather draw or pull him unto thee, or study to know him, and he will come. Be but willing, and it shall be done. Quiet or make idle the senses of the body, purging thyself from the unreasonable brutish torments of matter. Have I revengers or tormentors in myself, Father? Yea, and those not a few, but many, and fearful ones. I do not know them, Father. One torment, Son, is ignorance, a second, sorrow, a third, intemperance, a fourth, concupiscence, a fifth, injustice, a sixth, covetousness, a seventh, deceit, an eighth, fury, a ninth, fraud or guile, a tenth, wrath, an 11th, rashness, and a 12th, maliciousness. There are in number 12, and under these many more, some which, through the prison of the body, do force the inwardly placed man to suffer sensibly. And they do not suddenly or easily depart from him that hath obtained mercy of God, and herein consists both the manner and the reason of regeneration, or transmutation. For the rest, O Son, hold thy peace and praise God in silence, and by that means the mercy of God will not cease, or be wanting unto us. Therefore rejoice, my son, from henceforward, being purged by the powers of God to the knowledge of the truth. For the revelation of God is to come to us, and when that came, all ignorance is cast out. The knowledge of joy is come unto us, and when that comes, sorrow shall fly away to them that are capable of it. Okay, so, what is the real practical, pragmatic meaning behind all that? It's not just, people think, I think a lot of religious people that you just call down God and you're filled with glory and then all of the evil departs and you just watch how they act, and it's obviously not how it works. It's not what he's saying. It's not what is meant at all. This is why religion is so popular, and that are, things like Hermeticism are kind of on the back burners and in the dusty bookshelves of used bookstores and whatnot. Because it doesn't offer this ridiculous promise of, instant gratification that people are so fond of. What it really means is that, once you understand the real truth of the universe, you understand why there's evil in the world, you understand the nature of duality, you understand the things of God, as he put it, the reason for all of the different constituent elements in the universe, and the function of and derivatives of their interplay, right? So, and then that brings you to some kind of peace. But you don't do that just by saying, confess Jesus or whatever. It's not going to do anything. That's not real. I call unto joy the power of temperance, a power whose virtue is most sweet. Let us take her unto ourselves, O son, most willingly, for how at her coming hath she put away intemperance. Now I should call forth continence, the power which is over concupiscence. This, O son, is the stable and firm foundation of justice. For see how without labor she hath chased away injustice, and we are justified, O son, when injustice is away. The sixth virtue which comes into us I call communion, which is against covetousness. And what then covetousness is gone I call truth, and when she cometh, error and deceit vanisheth. See, O son, how the good is fulfilled by the access of truth. For this by means envy is gone from us, for truth is accompanied with the good, together also with life and light. And there came no more any torment of darkness, but being overcome, they all fled away suddenly and tumultuously. Thou hast understood, O son, the manner of regeneration. For upon the coming of these 10, the intellectual generation is perfected. And then it driveth away the 12, and we have seen it in the generation itself. Why do you think you guys think, and I'm not promoting communism. I don't promote any ism, so don't try to twist this into that, because it's not that. But there is some truth that when there is an awareness of the collective organism, of the collective as a single organism, there is longevity and health and peace and greater prosperity. We know that the more collaborators you have, the more exponential the potential is multiplied. The power of each individual component is amplified further by extension in the sum total. So that is what he's saying here, that basically the destruction and the insanity, the denigration and desecration of the original principles of the United States, for example, it is covetousness that has caused that entirely, fucking entirely. And the reason that people are being pushed so hard to maintain that sort of self-serving paradigm, really, the paradigm of abject materialism, is so that they can continue to be exploited, and also so that they are insisting on disempowering themselves. That's a crazy trick that they've played, and most of these fuckers are just way too off the deep end with ego to consider that they have just been duped that badly, to the extent that they're literally standing on their own throats. But that's the reality that we're dealing with. And it's true that communion is against covetousness, and it is a virtue. And if it would come substantially enough, error and deceit will vanish. Good is fulfilled by truth, because truth is self-substantiating. Truth is the organizing principle. Truth is the aggregation of creative principles and actions, and revealed in light. Whosoever therefore hath of mercy obtained his generation, which is according to God, he leaving all bodily sense knoweth himself to consist of divine things, and rejoiceth, being made by God stable and immutable. Taught, O Father, I conceive and understand, not by the sight of mine eyes, but by the intellectual operation, which is by the powers. I am in heaven, in the earth, in the water, in the air. I am in living creatures, in plants, and in the womb everywhere. Yet, tell me further this one thing. How are the torments of darkness, being in number 12, driven away and expelled by the 10 powers? What is the manner of it, Trismegistus? This tabernacle, O son, consists of the zodiacal circle, and this consisting of 12 numbers. the idea of one, but all formed of nature admit of diverse conjugations to the deceiving of man. And though they be different in themselves, yet they are united in practice, as for example, rashness is inseparable from anger. And they are also indeterminate. Therefore, with good reason do they make their departure, being driven away by the 10 powers, that is to say, by the dead. For the number of 10, O son, is the begetter of souls. And there life and light are united, where the number of unity is born of the Spirit. Therefore, according to reason, unity hath the number of 10, and the number of 10 hath unity. O Father, I now see the universe in myself in the mind. This is regeneration, O Son, that we should not any longer fix our imagination upon this body, subject to the 3 dimensions, according to this speech, which we have now commented, that we may not at all calluminate the universe. Calluminate. No. It didn't say, unless that was a typo. To make false and malicious statements about someone to damage their reputation. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I actually made some, not videos about it, but there's references to the DNA antennas and quantum antennas and some recent videos that I made. Yo, man, what's up? Tell me, O Father, this body that consists of powers, shall it ever admit of dissolution? Good words, son, and speak not things impossible, for thou shalt sin, and the eye of the mind grows wicked. The sensible body of nature is far from the essential generation, for that is subject to dissolution, but this is not, and that is mortal, but this immortal. Dost thou not know that thou art born a God, and the Son of the One, as I am? How fain would I, O Father, hear that praise given by a hymn which thou saidst thou heardest from the powers when I was in the octanary. As Poimander said, by way of oracle, to the octanary, thou dost well, O son, to desire the solution of the tabernacle, for thou art purified. Poimander, the mind of absolute power and authority, hath delivered no more unto me than those that are written, knowing that of myself I can understand all things, and hear and see what I will. And he commanded me to do those things that are good, and therefore all the powers that are in me sing. I would hear thee, O Father, and understand these things. Be quiet, O Son, and now hearken to the harmonious blessing and thanksgiving, to the hymn of regeneration, which I did not determine to have spoken of so plainly, but to thyself in the end of all. Wherefore this is not taught, but hid in silence. So then, O son, do thou, standing in the open air, worship, looking to the north wind, about the going down of the sun, and to the south, when the sun ariseth, and now keep silence, son, the secret song, the holy speech. Let all the nature of the world entertain the hearing of this hymn. Be opened, O earth, and let all the treasure of the rain be opened. You trees, tremble not, for I will sing and praise the Lord of the creation, and the all and the one. Be open, you heavens, you winds, stand still, and let the immortal circle of God receive these words. For I will sing and praise him that created all things, that fixed the earth and hung up the heavens, and commanded the sweet water to come out of the ocean into all the world, inhabited and not inhabited, to the use and nourishment of all things or men, that commanded the fire to shine for every action, both to gods and men. Let us altogether give him blessing, which rideth upon the heavens and the creator of nature. This is he that is the eye of the mind, and will accept the praise of my powers. O all ye powers that are in me, praise the one and all. Sing together with my will, all ye powers that are in me. O holy knowledge, being enlightened by thee, I magnify the intelligible light and rejoice in the joy of the mind. All my powers sing praise with me, and thou, my countenance, sing. Praise my righteousness by me, praise that which is righteous. O communion which is in me, praise thee all. By me the truth sing praise to the truth. The good praiseth the good. O life, O light, from us unto you comes this praise and thanksgiving. I give thanks to thee, O Father, the operation or act of my powers. I give thanks unto thee, O God, the power of my operations. By me the word sings praise unto thee. Receive by me this reasonable or verbal sacrifice in my words. The powers that are in me cry these things. They praise thee all. They fulfill thy will. Thy will and counsel is from thee unto thee. This is an interesting way to phrase this. By me the word sings praise unto thee. Receive by me this reasonable or verbal sacrifice in words. But by me the word sings praise unto thee. The word, the logos, being this vibration that came forth from the light, and I think really it gave rise to the light. The oscillating wave gave rise to the light, and that wave oscillating was the word. And so now that vibration has taken the form of Hermes, who is singing. So by me the word sings praise unto thee. O all, receive a reasonable sacrifice from all things. O life, save all that is in us. O light, enlighten. O God the Spirit, for the mind guideth or feedeth the word. O spirit-bearing workman. Thou art God, thy man crieth these things unto thee through, by the fire, by the air, by the earth, by the water, by the spirit, by the creatures. From eternity I have found means to bless and praise thee. I have what I seek, for I rest in thy will. O Father, I see thou hast sung this song of praise and blessing with the whole will, and therefore have I put and balanced it in my world. Say in thy intelligible world, O Son. I do mean in my intelligible world, for by thy hymn and song of praise my mind is enlightened, and gladly would I send from my understanding a thanksgiving unto God. Not rashly, O Son, in my mind, O Father. These things that I see and contemplate I infuse into thee, and therefore say thou, Son, taught, the author of thy succeeding generations, I send unto God these reasonable sacrifices. O God, thou art the Father, thou art the Lord, thou art the mind. Accept these reasonable sacrifices which thou requirest of me. For all things are done as the mind willeth. Thou, O Son, send this acceptable sacrifice to God the Father in all things, but propound it also, O Son, by word, taught. I thank thee, Father. Thou hast advised and instructed me thus to give thanks and praise. I am glad, Son, to see the truth bring forth the fruits of good things and such immortal branches. And learn this of me, above all other virtues, entertain silence, and impart unto no man, O Son, the tradition of regeneration, lest we be reputed calumniators, scandalizing the universe. For we both have now sufficiently meditated, I in speaking and thou in hearing. And now thou dost intellectually know thyself and our Father. The end of the 7th book. What is next? Let's check in with the chat. Getting kind of hungry. I married the Holy Spirit in 2020 and my life has changed. No, she has a name. She calls herself Sophia. Interesting. Sophia is wisdom. I love your content, man. I know it's a weird question, but are you from Michigan? No, I've never been to Michigan, but my grandmother was born in Michigan. Shall I continue? I can feel that I'm getting tired, and I swore off coca, so I think I think maybe we'll. If you guys have any questions or anything, then I will spend a few minutes chatting with you guys happily. But I think we're gonna save the rest of this for many more nights. Plenty of time. Let's see, which one should I make bigger? How about this one? There's that one. And here I am. Yeah, and we remade the Yopo video today because I was getting in trouble and I can't afford to have downtime, so I don't want to get strikes on YouTube. And we remade our Yopo video today, or at least we shot some video. Promotional video for the retreats is coming up in a couple of days, and be aware that that's on the table if anyone is interested in that. If you're a patron and have been for some time, then you are eligible for varying degrees of discounts depending on your tier and how long you have been a patron. So we're doing some in the Sacred Valley and one in Manu in the Amazon rainforest. So hit me up if you bout that. How many books? Hey, what's going on, Russell Ford? How many books are there? There's, I don't know. There's a bunch. Let's ask the Oracle. I know that there's at least 8 because how many books? Corpus Hermeticum. $17. So we are at the, let's see, the Poimanders, and then the next 9 or next 8 up to the 9th book are dialogues or lectures of basic Hermetic philosophy. So we might get some more religious sounding gobbledygook for a minute. And then the 10th section, which is a summary of the general sermons, that's better. And then Mind unto Hermes, the 11th section, which is one of 4 tractates on the more mystical aspects of Hermeticism, and that's good. Definitions of Asclepius, the 15th section, which may be made up of 3 fragments of longer works. So I don't know if the Lament of Asclepius is part of this or not, but whatever's missing, I'm going to find also sources of those, and we're going to have the whole, it's not just the Corpus Hermeticum, but the Corpus Hermeticum, and I guess we could say essential text. I've already done a full playlist on the Kybalion where I read the entire Kybalion and offered commentary. Definitely underwatched, so if you're into this stuff and haven't seen that, I think that's probably up there with the best content that I'll ever be able to create, because that really, the Kybalion lays out a perfect foundation for Western mystery type knowledge. Have you ever done Enochian magic? Whose was the conversation between at the end there? Oh, it was Hermes Trismegistus and his son Thoth, I guess, who he's calling Tot. It's interesting, though. Thought is actually a word for Thoth, who is the mind of the universe, basically. So it's kind of weird to see them juxtaposed that way. I would have thought that Hermes would be the son of Thoth, but apparently that's not how they scripted. Okay, so it's funny. People have told me both nights in a row to get some rest. Am I really coming off as that tired? Have you ever done Enochian magic? Kinda. I mean, it's not the sort of thing that I really put much energy into for a number of reasons. They say that if someone doubts the efficacy of magic, to just have them do some Enochian calls, and they'll find out very quickly that it's real. But because disasters happen, you know. So yeah, I'm not I'm not in a big hurry to try that myself. People say that you shouldn't even really listen to them, and there are recordings of Aleister Crowley actually speaking, so you can figure out the proper pronunciation from those videos on YouTube. Although do so at your own risk, I guess. One of the things that I find really interesting about Enochian, though, is that it actually has been studied by linguists, and it does have. Yeah, I don't know how long ago this question about the retreats was. Let me finish my thought though. What was I saying? Oh yeah, it does have its own syntax and grammar and whatnot. So that's weird, because I really don't think that John Dee and Edward Kelly would have had sufficient, cognitive capacities to engineer a language. So yeah. How was your last couple of treats? They were great. Yeah, we had good groups. We usually have repeat people, so we kind of know who's going to be here. And the same is true of Manu in the next one upcoming. We know at least a few of the people are from previous retreats, so that really helps. We don't have a lot of strangers. There's always more people that we know than not, so it really gives an extra layer of like security and comfort and intimacy to those events. And yeah, I'm planning. You can book right now for February and March, and those are in the Sacred Valley, or sooner if you want to do a private one this month even. Sacred Valley, and our center right now is in a Quechua community where it's just as it's been since Incan times almost, except now there's electricity. But it's very, very close to that traditional lifestyle, our neighbors. And then May in Amazon, in Manu. How's your local community doing? Healthy group of individuals. How was your New Year's celebration? Was fine. I was a little bit sleep deprived, maybe chewed a little bit too much coca, had a few too many shots of the local Quechua moonshine, and maybe shouldn't have been on the internet, but it is what it is. Wasn't there another question that I was about to try to field? Nope, I don't see anything else. I don't know, guys. Shall we go through another book? Yeah, let's see. Is it long? Yeah, let's do the 8th book, and then I think we're out of the sermons, and we'll pick up with the 9th on the next riggedy round. So, shrink my putters. This one's still the same, right? Yeah. Okay, okie dokie. How do you make it full screen, man? I really wish I wasn't such a dunce when it comes to computers. Okay, the greatest evil in man is the not knowing God. Whither are you carried, O men, drunken with drinking songs, strong wine of ignorance, with drinking strong wine of ignorance. Yep, sucking it down, knocking them back, which seeing you cannot bear. Why do you vomit it up again? Holy shit, man, that's a good one. I might have to get that tattooed on my forehead. Whither are you carried, O men, drunken with drinking strong wine of ignorance, with which seeing you cannot bear it, why do you vomit it up again? Stand and be sober, punk. Look up again with the eyes of your heart, and if you cannot all do so, yet do so many as you can. For the malice of ignorance surroundeth all the earth, and corrupteth the soul, shut up in the body, not suffering it to arrive at the havens of salvation. Suffer not yourselves to be carried with the great stream, but stem the tide, you that can lay hold of the haven of safety, and make your full course towards it. Seek one that may lead you by the hand and conduct you to the door of truth and knowledge, where the clear light is pure from darkness, where there is not one drunken, but all are sober, and in their heart look up to him, which pleasure it is to be seen. And actually, I decided that we're going to start the next one off fresh here because it sounds like it's going to be good. And this one started out kind of weak, and I know a lot of people aren't going to make it past the first few minutes, so sorry guys, but that was just a teaser, and I think we're done for now. But I may pop on a little, I don't know, I'm tired, I should go to bed, and then maybe tomorrow I'll do some music or something, because we had another disastrous music stream I was playing for a half an hour before I found out that I had the backing tracks in my headphones, but not in my live mix, which is embarrassing and fucking annoying. So anyways, thank you guys so much for spending this time with me. Please hit the like button, share, subscribe, consider becoming a patron. You can make contributions to the channel to keep us going so that I can justify sitting here for increasing numbers of hours sharing all of this fabulous stuff with all you fabulous people. Cheers, guys, and thank you all so much. Let me look if there's any other questions that I missed. How was your last couple of retreats? I already answered that. And what's the name of the book? The book is that book 8, I guess. The last part was book 7 or book 8 of the Corpus Hermeticum, which is mostly conversations between either the Pymander or the Poimander, which is a dragon of light that Hermes received instructions from, and other dialogues are between Hermes and Asclepius, or Thoth and Hermes, and I think these last ones were between Thoth and Hermes. So thank you once again, and I'll see you guys